to another episode of Oops All Dragons. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
Get your NPR voice on. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome
and
to
welcome
Fresh Air.
to another episode of Oops All Dragons. I wish we were an NPR podcast. Maybe we should pitch ourselves to NPR as NPR's first and only D&D podcast.
Yeah, we'll
and then we could get like the who's the 99% invisible guy, and I don't know.
We'll hit that all-important Dungeons and Dragons player demographic.
Yeah,
that
I think
very
they need
important
us. I think they need us.
Of the zeitgeist that needs to be touched on. We're the ones to
absolutely.
do it.
Yeah, no, we should do it. I'm only 70% joking.
Let's actually introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Lisa.
I'm Varun.
Hi, Varun.
And we're here on a lovely Sunday morning when we're recording this.
Morning-ish.
Morning-ish.
Depends where you are.
Yeah, depending on the time zone here.
This is the brunch of podcasts out.
Yes. New podcast name. the Brunchcast. We're completely changing format.
I am absolutely sure that is. I am absolutely positive that there is already like a brunch-themed podcast.
Yeah, probably. Probably some of my friends do that podcast, now that I think about it.
Oh my god, yes.
I know some people that is their exact thing. But yeah, our topic
Little Miss
today...
Bimos is it too.
Our topic today is actual prep for your first session. We're getting back
it's been a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's been a minute since we've, talked about, we've been talking a lot to people who have been playing for a long time, and I feel like we don't really get into, what's your process. Mm-hmm. And so we want to get, it back into what we were doing at the beginning of the show, which is, talking a little bit about what to do when you sit down to play.
What to physically actually do.
Yeah. Because you can get into the metaphysics of it all, but the practicalities sometimes get lost in the weeds.
Yeah. Actually, before we get into it, our little tradition, what have you been reading? What have you been playing? What have you been watching?
I watched the second season of The Witcher. I actually have stuff to talk about in this segment. This is crazy.
I watched it as well, so go.
Oh my god, yes. It's so good. I also just finished listening to the audiobook of The Sword of Destiny, which is the second book in the series. Mm-hmm. And so I'm having a good time just mulling over in my head the changes that they made for the show, the Game of Thronesification of it all.
Yeah. the tone, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was literally just having this conversation with some friends last night. We're getting into the era of TV where all of the what it feels like, I don't know this is what it is, but what it feels like is all of the production companies that bought fantasy properties during the heat of the Game of Thrones era are finally actually coming out with the stuff that they developed from that. So Netflix bought The Witcher and developed that, and pretty soon, I think later this year, Amazon Prime's Lord of the Rings series is going to come out.
And isn't Wheel of Time also on Amazon?
Wheel of Time is also on Amazon. Netflix had Shadow and Bone, it's another high fantasy thing. We're having a high fantasy moment for TV, and that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
I love it. But I'm also terrified.
You don't know what to expect, especially with something like Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson already did it pretty well.
Yeah, and of course there are things that I'm excited to see if the people working on that are going to take the opportunity to update certain things. Yeah. Having a little bit more spice in the cast, let's put it that way.
Some seasoning.
A little bit of just
I do appreciate that.
Let some Maillard reaction happen there. Let them be brown.
I do appreciate that in The Witcher. They
Yeah.
they definitely like it's Yennefer and Triss, right? They didn't get just like straight up white ladies to play them.
They're olive oil. Yeah.
Cause I know Trish, she was like straight up like ginger in the
Yeah.
games,
Yeah.
and that is not how she's portrayed in the show. And then Yennefer, very kind of classical brunette lady, and
Yeah. She's
like
described almost like Snow White, like
yeah,
raven black hair, white skin kind of deal. But I like that they've they've decided to give her a bit of flavor because
I like the actress who plays her. I
yeah,
have no
and
idea what her
she's
name is. I forgot.
fucking great. Yeah, I listen. I barely know anybody at the.
And then other stuff like just other characters are just like they're black elves and
Yeah.
uh, uh, race say as humans doesn't really come into a thing. There's still racism.
Yeah.
Like the whole second
Oh, yeah.
season is all
like,
about
it's a
racism
huge
toward the
theme.
elves. Yeah.
It's a huge theme of the books is racism and it's racism and colonialism.
like
which,
like actual racism, like the completely
Yeah,
different race of beings.
yeah, and the elves are like even in the books are written as a very clear allegory for marginalized people who like their whole thing is getting their land back, which like
Yep.
depending on like where in the world you live, like in the U.S., that is a very clear. There's a clear line that can be drawn between them and Native Americans. Like it's indigenous people. It's great. I love the Witcher series so far. It is just like the books
it's
are
very
just
good.
it's something that's like kind of amazing me is that the books are just so unflinchingly horny and the
Yeah.
show is and like I think it's hilarious that they're trying to do the Game of Thronesification of it, but they actually made it less horny for the show.
I was gonna say, even the games, like there's a lot of booty in them games.
Yeah, yeah. There's a great series of video essays on YouTube if anybody wants to just like get a little bit of insight on like how the book, the game, and like the first season of the show kind of like
Line up
sort
and
of-
differ.
yeah. It's from a YouTuber. The YouTube channel is called Sophie from Mars, and it's I think the first video in the series is like the Ballad of Himbo Geralt or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it's really good. It's so good.
Okay. So
And other than that,
oh, go ahead.
I do. Yes,
No, I was gonna say Witcher stuff. You ever played the games?
No.
I never played part 1. I played a little bit of part 2 on the original Xbox, and like I don't know, it was like the control scheme was just like terrible on that version or something. It immediately put me off. I got like literally 5 minutes into the game, I just turned it off. I just never went back. And then Witcher 3, I played that all the way through. The whole game, all the DLCs, like that's awesome. And if they ever get to that part in the show, that'd be really, really cool. I haven't read any of the books, so I don't know how, like, do you know how the books line up to the games and the show? Because like I think based on
I
where
don't
it
know
is-
about I don't know about the games, honestly.
No, I was gonna say
I think
is it? I think the games probably follow like the first book.
I don't think so. From what I understand, because I really don't know anything about the games. Like the game, I'm not up on the video games. I'm not gonna pretend I am. So I really don't know. But I know that the books of the show, the first season is basically the first 2 books.
Okay.
Rearranged a little bit and like restructured in a in a way that I'm honestly not mad about. Like,
I do like the non-linear storytelling in season 1. That was really cool.
Yeah. I love, there's a part in season 2 where I think it's like one of Jaskier's like first scenes where like somebody complains to him about like one of his like previous ballads, and it's basically like he gives him like the thing that people complain about the first season, and it was cheeky, and like I'm like, all right, we'll let it happen.
I love that they reintroduce him after such a long time with a breakup song between him and Geralt.
Yes!
And then him and Geralt meet again for the first time. He's like, oh, fuck it, and he just hugs him.
Yeah, I love. Oh God, there is no explanation for that song that he's singing in his first scene in the second season. There's no explanation for that other than that is a Taylor Swift post-breakup ballad. Like
100%.
Burn Butcher Burn? Damn. Ooh. Oh, he mad.
It's a very universal situation I'm singing about.
Yeah, it's not about him at all. What do you mean? Oh my God, him and Yennefer commiserating as the exes.
Yeah.
It's great.
That was also awesome.
That was very good food. I loved it.
And did you watch the anime thing that they had, the little prequel thing about Vesemir?
I didn't get around to it.
It's pretty good. It's like 90 minutes. It's basically the Vesemir's origin and the fall of Kaer Morhen, and it's pretty dark. It shows what happened. It shows like the last generation of like real when the Witchers really operated and really like took kids and turned them into Witchers, and what that looked like, and just like how just matter of fact they were about it, and like it's kind of dark, and then all the shit that happens at the end to where they actually fall, and like it's really interesting to me how this series deals with like there's very much a theme of like children and parenting and like Ciri's might be my
generational trauma.
Yeah, Ciri might be my favorite character in the entire series.
Oh my God, she is so bratty in the show, so perfectly bratty in the show, but in the book she's worse, and I love her.
Even in the games, like even in Witcher 3, after she's been through like years of like training and maturing and being with Geralt and Yennefer, she's still like kind of a shit. even all those years in.
Of course I love that. My favorite bat child is Damian Wayne. So like it only tracks.
All right.
Yeah. Enough about me. We're already like 15 minutes into this. What about you? I was gonna
say the only major thing I think I've been watching beyond Witcher was me and Nova were finishing off the Golden Girls. Just in memory of Betty White, and just because we've been doing it for like a year, on and off. So, Golden Girls, great show. If you haven't already watched it, like, it's in some cases it's very of its time. It's pretty progressive, especially their like gay episodes where they'll bring in like Blanche's gay brother and like how she deals with that as a Southerner and all that. And then there's also the Golden Palace, which is the sequel that they made to Golden Girls, which I didn't even know existed up until last week, which is good, but it's basically Golden Girls in a new set, minus B. Arthur, because she leaves at the end of the show, and plus Cheech Marin and a very, very young Don Cheadle.
Oh my gosh.
Like, early 20s Don Cheadle. He's taken off his shirt as much as he can.
Little tiny baby Don Cheadle.
It's kind of amazing, and we also joke about him. There's a joke in that first episode about him having to go, because it's set in Florida, about him having to go back to work at Disneyland if the hotel that they buy goes under. And then I'm like, you see the credits, like, it's a Buena Vista Productions. This show is this show is owned by Disney. He's War Machine in the Marvel movies, and he's also the narrator on the new Wonder Years show, which is also very good. He's been owned by Disney
for a while.
Ever since.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And guess what? He did have to go back to work for the mouse.
Yep. He's done other great things, but yes, he's been bought by the mouse for a long time. Yeah, but Golden Girl's great. Golden Palace, you definitely miss Bea Arthur. She's like that for it's like a chair without a leg. Like it's definitely missing something, but it's still funny. And it's only one season, so we'll finish it off. And yeah, that's what I've been doing.
You know what I haven't been doing?
What?
Is preparing to play D&D.
Ooh.
I've been playing. Austin's game is still going. But it's been a while since I've had to set up for like a new game. So Varun, let's talk about it. What do you do? What do we do?
And for those who have listened to our previous episodes, this is different from Session 0. So this is presuming you've already got a group of players, you've already talked to them about what the game's going to be about, you've had your Session 0, so now you've got a few days, or a week, or some planning time, or maybe this is you're going into your Session 0, into your Session 1, however you want to do it. Yeah, the actual on-the-ground planning of like what a DM should do and what a player should do. Do you want to start with the player side? Because that's probably going to be a little shorter. And then the DM side is probably a bit more involved.
Yeah. Let's do that. So, on the player side, oh boy.
So, physical prep. What like, in the real world, what should they have? What should they do?
I mean, pen and paper. Pencil and paper.
Yeah, pencil.
We are lucky enough to live in an age of play where we have digital tools. So, hopefully at Session 0, you can work out with your DM what digital tools you might be using, whether that's D&D Beyond, Roll20, other things that maybe I don't know about, 5e tools, getting familiar with that. Before that first session, really get familiar with your character sheet. Have an idea more or less where things are. Even if you don't necessarily know what everything is, like, read through it.
Yeah, like, if you're playing IRL, and this is, just to maximize things, there's always virtual dice rollers and that sort of thing, but if you have a mini, bring it. If you have physical dice, remember to pack them. I don't think you have ever forgot dice, Lisa, because even when you forget dice, you still have dice on you.
Yep.
And so, just because, virtual dice are fun, but real dice are better. And
although D&D Beyond just got these furry dice.
They have the custom dice on D&D Beyond. I do like those.
Yeah, there's like, if you have a subscription to D&D Beyond, they have a skin for their digital dice.
More dice.
Fuzzy dice. I've never paid for digital dice. There's just like the free ones that D&D Beyond has.
If you have the subscription,
they just put these pink fuzzy dice, and they're hilarious.
Like the ones Elvis would have in his car.
Yes. Yes. Down to like the D6 being like a traditional
fuzzy
dice with like the dots instead of numbers.
Awesome.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, so
you
have
basically what we're saying is
have something like that ready. So like don't get there and you realize, oh crap, I can't roll dice. Yes,
and there are free
other people,
apps.
Yeah, they're free apps. Other people may have dice, but like be considerate.
Yeah.
Just to maximize your time, because everyone's getting together. If you're bringing a pad, bring something to write with. If you're taking notes on your phone, remember to take notes on your phone, because I'll forget. Like I'll have my note thing up, and I'll just get into the game. And I'll forget to take specific notes on just like what are we supposed to be doing sometimes. If it's at someone's house, it's always courteous to bring snacks. That does not hurt. bag of chips,
For sure.
drink, whatever. Again, courteous. And you guys can, as a group, can work that out ahead of time. And then the biggest thing for player prep, I'll always say, read your stuff. So your player stuff. You've created your character at this point, I assume. What does your character do, especially if you're new? Like, read through, what does a fighter do? What does a wizard do? You know, not all the classes, but what is my class? What does my class do? And then, if you have any questions, ahead of that session 1, talk to your DM. Be like, hey, I don't understand this. Like, what does this mean? Or, in the general rules, like, how does combat work? I'm kind of unclear. So that they know, they'll either help you with it one-on-one aside, or they'll bring it up and they'll kind of, if they see everyone's asking sort of the same questions, they'll handle that, you know, as the entire group, and just communicating and letting your DM know if you have questions.
Yeah, it's our favorite word, communication.
Mm-hmm. And that's more just from experience, and I think that's a more modern thing to kind of call out, especially for players starting, because you know, this is my experience. Historically, the DM is kind of been the person who knows everything, who reads all the books, reads all the player stuff, and just knows how everything works, which is very hard, in general, to do. Yeah, just doing all the DM stuff and then remembering all the player stuff on top of that. So just to be a good player, to keep the game moving, yeah, read your stuff. Like, if you do, DMs will love you for that. And if they give you any sort of pre-reading, so like just reading about the setting you're in or the quest you're going on, definitely read that too, because that's probably going to come into play as soon as you start.
And if your DM sends you weird, random questions, answer them. Not necessarily that you have to have, you know, pages of character backstory. That can actually tend to be a hindrance if you have very, very specific character backstory. But have, you know, your bullet points, have your general idea, and then as it progresses, you'll be able to fill that out and
come with an outline.
Yeah. And be prepared to answer questions that maybe you hadn't necessarily thought of about your character, because that ends up being helpful in the long run. And
that helps the DM build the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you can probably tell the prep on the player side pretty straightforward. Bring your stuff, know your stuff. That's pretty much it. But
show up on time.
Show up on time. Yes, that's the other thing.
Which I have, like, I've never been good at that one.
And this is for DMs and players as well. Just a general thing, and I've talked about this way back when you're scheduling your first session, when you're scheduling all your sessions, you can designate one person in your group as the scheduler. It doesn't need to be the DM. Just be like, all right, I'm going to herd the cats, or yeah, and then I'm going to be the one to say, like, okay, we can all meet this time. Let's lock it in. And then if you can't make that, that doesn't mean, like, you know, so, if something happens and life gets in the way, let your people know. So I'm going to be late, or, oh, I can't make it today because something happened. As far as you know ahead of time, let them know. Again, courteousness. Yeah, pretty straightforward stuff for the player.
Take a shower,
prep.
put on some deodorant.
Oh yes. And now those are the essentials we're talking about, and then also just courteousness. Bring snacks, hygiene, absolutely hygiene if you're playing in person. Personality hygiene if you're playing online. Don't be a creep.
Yeah, you can be physically a goblin when you're playing online, but do be considerate of the fact that those are other human beings.
Yeah. And yeah.
Even if you are playing a goblin, don't be a little creep about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for the player side.
Yeah.
pretty
you get off
straightforward
easy.
stuff. Yeah. So, Dungeon Master prep now. Bigger thing.
Yeah. Oh boy. I mean, the beginnings of it are the same thing. Get your pen, get your paper, get whatever note-taking tools, because as the DM, you are going to also need to take notes.
I was going to say, have your actual notes for the session ready.
Yes.
However in-depth they may be.
Yeah, which, as we've talked about before, there is a sweet spot for prep, and everybody's sweet spot is different. And that is something that comes with time. You're not going to get it right on your first session.
Definitely don't overplan on your first session.
Yeah. Have your bullet points of names, bullet points of places, bullet points of, have maybe some creatures in mind in case they end up having an encounter.
NPC names, like
NPC
NPCs.
names. And again, we live in a great age for this because there are a lot of resources online that will just spoon feed you.
Help you organize this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I know World Anvil's like the big world building one. Me, I just have like
Yeah.
a list. I literally have like a check, like a dotted list of just the important things that are going to happen.
Your maps really just have wherever the characters are going to be for that first session sort of outlined, and fill it.
If you're making
fill it in as you go.
I was gonna say, if you're making your own, have that in mind. And if you're using a pre-made module, they always come with their own maps. So just come with, if you're playing in person, a big old dry erase map.
Yeah.
And dry erase marker, so you can just boom boom make a map real quick.
And this is vital. If you're using a pre-made adventure, read the whole adventure before the first session.
Yep. So
learn from my mistakes.
Learn from Lisa's mistakes. Back on the physical prep side, bring your notes, bring a erasable map. They're like $5, or just a big sheet of paper if you want to just make it a one-off. If there's going to be any combat, anything that requires people to judge distance and that sort of thing, bring something big to write on to act as the map. And depending on what you're running, if you're running your own homebrew thing, go over your notes, make sure everything kind of makes sense in your world, and things will flow properly. And then if you're running something pre-made, listen to Lisa. What would Lisa do? Read the entire...
Well, what Lisa would do is not read it. Don't do what Lisa would do.
I'm trying to big up you here.
No, I admit to being an absolute just mess about it. I've learned my lesson, though. Don't do as I say, not as I do.
No, they do.
Read the goddamn adventure.
Yeah, if it's a pre-made one, Nines of Phandelver, Witchlight, any of those things, read it through all the way if you're running it, because in most cases there could be those left turns that the players make that are already accounted for later in the book, but if you are not prepared for that, there's going to be a lot of shifting around, pausing the game, and a lot of breaks in the momentum if you do.
Yeah.
And potentially can derail the entire session. If you don't read the thing, if you don't read the book properly. I've actually seen this happen. Someone doesn't read the module that they're running all the way through. They're like reading it as they go, and they read the part that's supposed to be for the DM out loud. So all the players know the secret thing on how to just like beat the bad guy without having to fight them. And that's, because they didn't read ahead of time, they didn't know to read this in my head.
Yeah. It sucks to say, but this game requires a little bit of homework on the side of both the GM and the players, but more on the GM side.
It's preferred on the player side. It's required on the DM side.
Yeah.
And then
experienced players can get away with kind of flying by the seat of their pants, but also experienced players are going to know that it's always better to just know what your characters are doing. So if you're someone who's just getting into it, yeah, even and it goes beyond just like reading the pages in the source books about your whatever your subclass is, your race, whatever. Go on Reddit, look on forums, look up YouTube videos.
I love the
There's a lot
DM
of people
Academy
talk about
Reddit.
this. Yeah. It's yeah, the internet's a great place sometimes.
It's a great place.
If
It can also be great and terrible.
Yeah. Just gotta know how to navigate it, and you can find a lot of good resources to help you understand a little bit better what sometimes some things are just not super clear in the books, and maybe somebody else has already asked the same questions that you have, and they've already gotten the answers, and it just takes a bit of digging. And that kind of internet sleuthing can be fun if you're into that.
But yeah, back to actual actual prep you should do. Like I said, minimum something to take notes with. The book, the module that you're going to be running, or notes if you're homebrewing something. Minis for anything, minis or tokens or whatever, something to represent any creatures you're going to be using if there's going to be combat. A lot of starter kits will just come with flat punch out tokens, or if you just have minis like a certain friend of ours that we know who has just minis for every damn thing, and he paints them very well. Have those ready. Don't show them to the players immediately, but just have them in a little box or whatever on the side.
Yeah.
In case you need to bust out a dragon or whatever it is.
Yeah. Slight aside, but Austin had to buy a dragon mini because last session we started out very much in one place, and by the end of the session we were somehow in a young black dragon's lair.
Ooh.
And we're like, what happened? This escalated
you guys are
so quickly.
You guys are very early on, right?
Yeah.
Level wise.
Yeah, we're level 4.
Oh boy, yeah, that young,
even
a young black dragon, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, our next session's gonna be a hoot and a holler.
Yeah. I was gonna say, going on the map thing, if you're running online, if you're using Roll20 or any other virtual tabletop, definitely do your homework on that ahead of time on how it works. So you can get your maps in there, make sure everything looks correct. You know how the tools work, and you can explain it to the players if they haven't.
Absolutely. Familiarizing yourself with the digital tools is really important, because if no one at the table knows, even at the virtual table, knows how to use the virtual tabletop, then its usefulness is entirely moot.
Yeah. You can play games online and everything can be theater of the mind, but if you're going to commit to using Roll20 or something like that, know how to get the dimensions of your map. So look at the properties, go into the Roll20 page itself, and then from whatever splash page that the players are going to start on, make sure that the dimensions match the map, and you can drag them in, know how to drag in between the different maps so you can set things up separately that they can't see yet, know how the layers work. If you're using the higher level stuff, know how the custom lighting works if you're going to use that. And then know how players are rolling initiative and that they have to click their tokens ahead of time before they roll on their sheets. Otherwise, everyone's going to put a bunch of rolls in and nothing's going to go into the initiative tracker. Do your homework, watch tutorial videos on it if you're going to use it. There can be a bit of a learning curve with Roll20 specifically. That's the one I've used. But really, once I watched a couple videos, did it myself a couple times, it was pretty easy. And then there are browser extension tools that make a lot of the stuff in there even easier. So definitely do your homework.
20.
Yeah, don't just say you're going to use Roll20 if you're not actually going to take advantage of it. Otherwise, just play on Discord.
Yeah.
And then, again, physical, in-game, in person, I should say. Especially for a first-time DM, it's always a good idea to bring something for a DM screen. If you don't have like an actual full DM screen, if you don't buy one, just bring like a binder or something. Because I think for first-time DMs, it's good to have the option at least to have that kind of barrier in between the players and them. Just so, and that for me, that's just thinking on the level of like building confidence. Maybe you have a bunch of notes on the other side. Don't fudge rolls. That's just my preference. I'll always throw out that one of just like let the consequences fall as they will. But if you're doing any sort of secretive rolls for enemies sneaking around or something, you can hide that from the players. And yeah, just if you need that second to just be like, okay, what am I gonna do with this crazy decision that they just made? Just you have something, you have a little something there to not let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely useful for newer players, and it kind of drops off later on with more experienced players. But I think it's something good to bring.
Yeah. So the basics are really like when you go to show up to your first session is, if you have any physical source books, which. Okay. If you have any physical source books, bring your source books.
Don't you?
Bring your notebook. If you are using digital resources, bring your laptop or make sure your phone is charged.
Yep.
Because that's
make sure your phone's charged. Bring your charger.
Yes. Bring your water bottle. Stay hydrated.
That's just general for
just
life.
In general, it's always good. Have your lists of things. Your list of names, your list of NPCs, your list of places, however you're gonna do your map. Have that prepared. If you have any fun accessories, like there are like initiative tracker things that you can purchase. If you have any silly little accoutrement that you have decided bring you joy and you wanted to buy them and use them to supplement your game, do it. Go for it.
Music.
Just don't forget them at home because you're going to be real disappointed. Where you're going to be like, damn, I bought this thing and I just forgot to bring it.
And along that same lines of accoutrement, if you're thinking of incorporating sounds or music, either have it on your phone ready, have the CD or the player or whatever that you're going to be using. CD, yeah.
God damn, Varun, you really showed your age on that one.
Yeah.
Not the CD. Oh my god, I'm gonna burn a CD of D&D sounds. Of
just
fantasy music
just
for the
a
next
soundtrack.
one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Hey, you don't need internet
sick,
you don't need internet for it to work. Internet goes down, boom, you still got music.
That's true. That's so true. Oh my god.
Physical media, baby.
How do you even burn a CD anymore? My laptop doesn't have a CD
Mine does.
slot. Well, I have to get something so that I can burn CDs.
Like it used to be such a thing. To like you have to get.
I used to burn CDs all the time.
No, I mean like they didn't computers didn't come with it native. You had to like buy writable CDs and potentially buy an external CD writer and all of that. And then my laptop that I have now, I made sure to get one with a drive. It just comes with all that stuff built in. So if you want to just burn your own stuff, boom, there you are. It's all just built in. I'm John Madden mode today. Boom. Boom.
Oh boy, yeah, man.
Rest in peace, John
You
Madden.
do realize that there is like a generation of like young adults at this point who have like, you say burn a CD and they have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
What the hell? You're trying to get me to do drugs? What is this?
Is that a code?
Is this a banking thing?
Why would you burn a CD? Why would you set fire to a
What?
CD?
Did you come from the stupid ages? Did you guys have CD burnings?
It's the book burnings.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but it's Britney Spears' "Oops, I Did It Again."
Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other prep for like a first session.
On the like subject of snacks, it's a dumb thing, but like it's also not. Make sure to be aware of any allergies or like food restrictions or like if somebody in your group is sober, so
Whoever's
don't bring
hosting,
beer.
Yeah.
And not the DM doesn't necessarily have to host, but like make sure that whoever's home you're gonna play at, if you're playing physically, has enough chairs.
Yeah. They have a table.
Honestly, you don't even really need a table if you've got like a coffee table, but like make sure there's enough. There is some sort of arrangement.
That's what I mean. A table. I've literally been to an apartment with no flat surfaces.
What?
Not conducive to D&D. I don't know what they were thinking.
It's that Reddit, the male living spaces, where it's just like a single rolly office chair and a mattress on the floor.
I can absolutely see that. Yes.
Oh boy.
All right. So
yeah, if that's the situation, like maybe figure out another space that you could.
Someone bring a card table or something. Damn it.
Yeah, a good old folding party table.
Yeah.
I've done that before, where I brought a table to the session.
If you don't have a table, ask someone if they can bring a table. Someone's got to have something.
Even just a picnic blanket for the floor and a bunch of pillows.
Oh boy. So let's just do the rundown. So for the players, bring your paper and pen if you're going to be physical. Bring your note-taking tools. Bring your minis if you got them.
Bring your dice.
Bring your dice. Bring your sheet. Don't forget your sheet, physical or digital. And then biggest one for the players: read your stuff. Know how your character works. Be courteous, and depending on how the food is going to go, bring a snack or bring money for food, or eat ahead of time, depending on how you guys are timing things. And then for the DM, all the same physical stuff we mentioned for the player, but also bring a DM screen or something equivalent, especially for your first session. It's gonna be really helpful. Have a lot of notes and everything on the other side, like how the conditions work, how do saving throws work, right? Yada yada yada. All the stuff that the players don't need to see.
That's definitely the reading that the DM needs to do too. Is have at least a cursory knowledge of like things that there are mechanics for. You don't have to like know off the top of your head how grappling works, but you have to be able to recognize when your character is trying to grapple somebody and you have to go, oh, there's a rule for that, let me look it up.
Yeah, what do we do in this case?
Right.
Read up your own notes, either the pre-made module or your own, homebrew stuff. Know how that's going to work inside and out. Bring any minis for your creatures, for your enemies that are going to be on the map. Bring a map if you've got one, or outsource it to someone else in the group. Say like, hey, does anybody have a dry erase map we can use? Bring it in. And depending on who's hosting again, determine like, are you guys going to have a break in between to eat? How's the snack situation going to go? Are we going to buy food in between? Because and the DM can organize that, or whoever's hosting can organize that on just you don't want folks stomach growling.
Accommodations.
Yeah, you don't want folks stomachs growling when they're playing, and you don't want like a situation where someone is sober and then let's like bring a 6-pack or something.
Yeah. I've done that.
Girl.
He was very nice about it. He was very chill about it, but I did not think to ask ahead of time if it was okay. I just sort of assumed. So I brought a six-pack to the person's house, and he was like, "It's fine. I'm just not gonna have one."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Ah, shit. I'm so sorry."
And along those same lines, and this is probably going to come up in your session 0, but have this either written down or memorized. What are your lists of your players' lines? So what are the things that should not come up? The things that they've said that they don't want in the game. Just keep that stuff in mind in case you do see someone else, doing that sort of thing, or it starts to come up, you think it might be coming up in the game, to avoid those sort of subjects if it's going to be something that might trigger someone or, ruin the game for them.
Oh, and make sure you know all your characters' names.
All the player characters' names, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one's just gonna come with time, honestly. Like,
yeah,
you can learn them up top, but until you're like in the game and you're associating like the person's voice and their face with the character, it's probably not gonna stick.
Yeah.
And then for the DM, bring multiple pencils because people will probably forget. Bring your own dice, definitely, and especially if you're a more experienced DM or kind of planning for the group, bring multiple sets of dice, especially if you're like Lisa and you just collect dice just cause. It's not to be a DM, it's just because she wants them. Just couldn't hurt.
I got a set of really nice sharp edge dice that were like $60.
I got,
and in the box, it underneath where like the dice are, there's a little inscription that says "Don't eat the dice."
Oh God!
In like nice gold foil.
I got. Are they metal? I assume they're metal.
No, they're acrylic.
Oh, okay. I got a set of metal dice for Christmas, so this is my second set of metal dice, and they're even more like gnarly and like inscribed than the last set that I got. Because last set
we should post our fancy dice to Twitter.
Post our fancy dice on Twitter. Yes. Yeah, that's just gonna be our Twitter. No, that's that. Yeah, our Twitter and Instagram. It's just dice. It's just dice pictures. That's it.
Closet tour, but it's just my 15 sets of dice.
It's just you just open up your bag. I see your bag. You just open it. Boom.
Listen, there are absolutely people who have more dice than me.
I know,
but I will say that, that like early on in the game that I'm in now, I like busted out one of my 2 jars of dice, and one of the other people at the table were just like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. If you need dice, I got dice.
I got you. Don't worry." And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah, any and the last thing you mentioned, any sort of special things that you have ready, any sort of props or any sort of costuming if you want to do that, or music or whatever it might be. Don't forget that sort of stuff.
Yeah, if you want to get fancy and like physically like type out or write out like a letter that the characters receive, or like a help wanted poster or whatever, props are great.
Yep.
Make them ahead of time.
Yep. And the last thing I think for DM prep on the, like I mentioned on the virtual side, make sure you know how your virtual tabletop works, and that you can properly navigate it and properly do your prep on there if you're going to take advantage of it. Not gonna say that you have to, but this is just for the ease of your game. If you're not gonna take advantage of Roll20, the video and the audio aren't great there, but the tabletop combined with all of that is a pretty good resource. But if you're not going to use it, just use like Discord or a Google Meet or whatever it is to play instead.
What we've usually done is we'll have a tab open with our D&D Beyond page, a tab open with the Roll20 page with the video and voice turned off because
we use Discord.
It's janky. And then we'll do the actual video call on Discord or Google Meet or Zoom. We never really used Zoom, but we'll do our actual voice and video on a different thing.
And for virtual prep, we've used it for so long. The Beyond 20 browser extension
which connects your character sheet on D&D Beyond to Roll20, so you don't have to input all your information into Roll20's character sheet thing, which is a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah, I do like Roll20's character sheet if you're doing your own custom stuff. That's much easier to do on Roll20 than on D&D Beyond. But if you just want to import your D&D Beyond stuff, or not even import, just have one open and just roll from that sheet and have it appear in Roll20, absolutely Beyond 20 browser extension is great for that.
I wonder if they sponsor. Maybe we should.
Oh, yes. Beyond 20 sponsor us, yes.
Or D&D Beyond, or just anybody, please.
I think D&D Beyond do their own their own podcasts and stuff, but if we can become one of them,
yeah, I would love that. What else? There was one thing that I like.
For the DM side?
Oh, I was gonna say about Roll20 or any digital tabletops, not just useful for the map itself, but what I like to do with Roll20 is like have pages that are essentially like
vision board,
mood boards, vision boards for like the location that the characters are in, because if you're like me and you're bad at describing things, you get better with time, but I'm really bad at describing things really thoroughly, and it's just a helpful way of
helping folks visualize things.
Yeah, of setting up a mood and a tone of a place if you have some images while you're describing what's going on there.
Yeah. Doesn't need to be the exact thing that they're seeing, but giving them the vibe of the place.
Yeah.
All right. And the last thing we'll reiterate, hygiene. Regardless of what side of the DM screen you're on, take a shower. Wear deodorant.
Yeah. Oh, and if you're playing in person and the home in which you're playing in has a cat or a dog, make sure anybody who needs to take a allergy medicine takes it. I always forget until I get there.
Take one, or have some allergy meds, Aller Clear, whatever the generic is. Have some of that on hand, because yes, that can really mess with some people if you don't mention it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think all that it just kind of falls into like be courteous, like be a good host.
Yeah, and if like the house you're playing at has roommates or family, make sure that they know what's going on, so that they don't just come out and it's like there are 6 random people I have never seen before in my life. Who are you people? Yeah. And that just really goes into being polite.
Yeah.
That's just a good rule of thumb in general, is if you're
We're just getting into like
over.
actual life advice now. Just be polite. Just like be don't be a dick. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. I'll mention now because I said I was going to say it up at the top and I forgot, but if you've made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. Absolutely helps us with the YouTube algorithm, with Spotify.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, share us around. We're getting a little traction on some of the Reddit forums, so that's nice. Any way you can support us, leave a comment. That's also really good for YouTube. Leave a review if you're on any of the podcasting platforms. And any sort of feedback on our social medias would be great.
This is a relatively simple topic, but I know that when I first started playing, this is a lot of stuff that like I wish I had been told. That like I kind of had to figure out by making those mistakes.
Yep.
Have a good time. Go play some games. Tell us about it.
Thanks for listening.
If you have any suggestions on top of liking, commenting, subscribing, maybe leave us a comment of suggestions for topics, questions that you might have about DMing, about playing, about dealing with players.
If we get enough questions, we'll just do an entire Q&A episode.
Yeah. And coming up soon, we're gonna continue our tradition of talking about any new source books that come out, I know in May we're gonna get another Mordenkainen book, Monsters of the Multiverse, and I'm excited. He's riding a unicorn on the cover, so that's
updated
fun.
bestiary, nice.
Yeah, we're getting a new bestiary, and it says that it includes over 30 playable races.
Ooh.
I am excited to see this.
Girl.
Cannot wait, but that's not till May. And yeah, we've got a good year ahead of us.
We got a lot of stuff coming down for 2022. We got some plans.
Yeah.
Got some plans, y'all.
Second year.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a terrible
Goodbye.
intro.
Oops All Dragons is a group effort. Our show is edited by Noel Hernandez, our theme was composed by Brendan Lyons, and our logo art is by Azif On Q. Links to more of their work and their social media will be in the show notes. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Oops All Dragons.